Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Before, before we go ahead, I just wanted to really thank you because it's not easy to be a young mother with a young baby and still making time to talk with people about the process that you went through in order to enlighten people. So we really thank warriors such as yourself who are ready to talk about their issues without the fear of any kind of judgment or stigma.
Thank you. No problem. It's my pleasure.
Right. For our viewers' benefit, would you kindly introduce yourself?
Okay. So I'm Sneha and I'm 33 years old. I'm from India and I'm settled right now in Singapore. So I'm a software engineer by profession and coming to my fertility journey, we have been trying to conceive since 2018. That means when I was like 29 years old, because the reason was I had endometriosis. So I didn't know that I had endometriosis until I went for a scan for a health checkup. And I got to know that I had a cyst, which was very huge, and I was suffering from endometriosis. I had the symptoms, but I never knew that it is because of endometriosis. So since then, we have been trying, and then I recently delivered a baby after multiple IUI and IVF attempts. So I just delivered a baby, and this is just a brief introduction about me and my journey.
Right. Could you tell us what the symptoms for endometriosis is?
Okay, so endometriosis is basically the lining of your uterus which grows inside and when we bleed during our menstrual time. But instead of growing inside, the tissue grows outside the uterus. So there are endometriosis deposits in the outside of uterus, and they also start bleeding during your period time, during your menstrual time. Those lessons also start bleeding, and that's when you start having pain during your menstrual time. So the main symptoms are heavy periods and heavy bleeding and pain during intercourse. So, and especially low back pain. And also sometimes many people have pain while passing stools. They have pain while starting passing bowel movements. So these, when the lessons are on your bowel, then you start having those kind of symptoms. When it is only on your uterus, you have more period cramps. So the main symptom that you need to identify is heavy period cramps, which is not normal.
So if somebody has like severe cramps, because I've heard of women who complain about excessive pain and cramps, so those could be an issue.
Yes. Yes, you have to get it checked up because I had severe period cramps and I didn't know it was endometriosis. I was just popping up a painkiller thinking it's very normal to have a pain during your periods. But no, if you're having severe pain, you definitely need to visit a doctor and gynae can get a proper diagnosis done.
So slight discomfort, slight pain is okay, but if it's severe,
yes,
we should get it checked, right? That's very insightful. I was going through your social media update and saw that you had a 10 centimeter cyst. You didn't know about this until you went.
Ever. I didn't know because endometriosis is such a chronic disease that you never, sometimes people might not have any symptom and still it starts growing. Like, for example, the cysts kept on growing month by month. So whenever my period, it started growing, but I always thought it's just because of the period pain. So I didn't know until it became so huge that when I went for a health checkup, I got to know.
So that was your normal. You didn't know.
Yes, I didn't know.
Yes. So please talk to us about your process of doing your IVF struggle, because that also itself is a huge and painful journey.
Yeah, so yes, it's been such a painful journey because it's not easy. Generally, infertility is something that we don't talk about, and people who are diagnosed with endometriosis, the journey to pregnancy is even more difficult compared to PCOS or other kind of infertility issues. So when I got, so PCOS and all are still, I mean, when you compare the success rates with endometriosis, it's much difficult to conceive because your uterus is the main organ which carries the baby and it's affected by endometriosis. So if there is endometriosis on your uterus, it's a little tough to conceive. And because there's a lot of inflammation in your body, which will not help for the embryo to grow inside your uterus. So it's more difficult. So when I got diagnosed with endometriosis and I had a 10 centimeter cyst, the doctor told me you have to immediately get a laparoscopy done because it can explode anytime, which is danger to me, which I didn't know. It can affect me. So once I got the surgery done, doctor advised us if we really want to try having a baby or we don't want to. So when I said yes, because I was already 29 by that time, and we thought, okay, let's have a baby. Otherwise, she said she will give me a painkiller. Not painkiller, I would say a kind of contraceptive pill which will stop your periods so that you will not have any pain, any discomfort during your menstrual cycle. So since then, we started our journey and we tried naturally for 6 months, but we couldn't. Then we tried IUI, which is another AR, assisted reproductive technology, which is IUI. And when we tried IUI also, it didn't work for 4-5 times. We tried IUI. So IUI is basically, they take out the husband's sperm and they inject into your uterus. By the doctor injects into your uterus wall so that the reproduction happens. We tried multiple IUI attempts also, but it didn't happen. Then we straightly went forward to IVF because we didn't want to waste time. And we already knew it's difficult to conceive with endometriosis. I was reading a lot of articles. I have talked to some people, and it is not impossible, but it's a little tough. So we didn't waste much time, and then we started trying for IVF attempts. And IVF also was very difficult. We had 4 failed cycles, and every time I had a biochemical. That means I was getting a positive pregnancy, but it was not going to heartbeat. So it was implanted in my uterus. I was having positive, but it was never going to heartbeat. So this is called a biochemical pregnancy, ideally. So in the 4 IVF attempts, every time the same happened. And successfully on the 5th cycle, we conceived. So in this 4 cycles, we have learned a lot about ourselves and more. We have done a lot of research and we got to know there are a lot of other problems which I never knew. Like, for example, I had a slight blood clotting disorder, which is proteinase deficiency. So that means your blood has to be thick, has to flow properly. It should not have any clotting disorder. So that during the journey, when I was getting some tests, I got to know that done. And I had this high NK cells. So what is NK cells is it's called natural killer cells, which are in your body, which are present in everybody's body. And whenever we have any infection or something, they fight against the infection. So they are the killer cells, basically. So even if they are in the body, they will not let the embryo implant. And that also causes a failure of pregnancy. So I was having that high NK cells. So that was another issue. And my husband had a sperm DNA fragmentation high, which is, but at least for men, we can correct them very easily because for men, for every 3 months, they have a fresh sample of semen, which is easy for them to build it. So they can just clear off the sample and then they have this ability to get the fresh sample in the body after 3 months. So that was another issue of high-end DNA fragmentation. So one by one, we kept on sorting out. And then in the 5th cycle, we conceived.
That's a lot of medical conditions to go through.
Actually, there's a lot of medical which we didn't know in the towards our journey, we got to know more about ourselves.
I also saw that one of the side effects of IVF that you went through was developing some lumps in your breasts.
Yes. So IVF actually has a lot of side effects. I mean, it comes with a plus and minus, that everything has a plus and minus, pros and cons. So when we talk about IVF, it's basically generally women produces 1 egg in each menstrual cycle. So during IVF, we inject hormones. We inject more hormones into ourselves so that we produce more number of eggs. The reason is we need to extract more number of eggs from a woman's body. So when you inject more number of hormones into your body, so you are basically giving more estrogen to your body, more progesterone to your body. So everything you're putting in your excess rather than what your body needs. So you're just basically pushing your body to produce more hormones. That had an issue where I had a lump in my breast. So your breasts are an organ which basically functions with the hormones in your body. So when we started this IVF, we didn't know anything, but after like third, fourth cycle, when during fifth cycle, when my doctor asked me to get the breast ultrasound done, because he's a doctor who checks everything in the body before getting pregnant, whether it is breast or stomach issue or any issue, because he was someone who believes that we need to sort things first and then go towards pregnancy. Because during pregnancy, if we have any issue, it will become a big, it's a big thing to resolve. So then when I got breast ultrasound done, I found that I had a lump in my breast, and it was due to the hormonal injections that I took. And I had to got it removed, done to go to check for a biopsy if it is hoping that it's non-cancerous. And luckily, by God's grace, yes, it was not anything that was harmful, and it was just a hormonal lump.
That must have been a very scary moment for you.
Yes, it was literally a very scary moment, and it was very heartbreaking because you don't know if you have to continue with your IVF treatment and push your body even more further, or you just stop it here and then just relax. Because as much as we wanted to have a kid, even my body was going through a lot of things, which I didn't want to push my body more than what it is already doing. So it was a tough decision.
You also took a lot of supplements in your quest.
Yes. So when supplements, I would say it depends on what condition do you have. So because I had endometriosis, so I was taking something which is anti-inflammatory, like omega-3 capsules that can reduce your inflammation in your body. And vitamin C also reduces a lot of inflammation in your body. And also vitamin D is very essential these days. We don't have the enough sunlight, for our bones to be stronger. So vitamin D deficiency, out of 10 people, if you get test done, I'm very sure 9 people will have vitamin D deficiency. This is very common these days. And vitamin D is also very important for getting pregnant, according to researchers that have been studied and all. So vitamin D is very crucial. So I've been taking vitamin D also. And I've been taking NAC supplement, which doctor didn't advise. But for me, I've read a book in which it was told that NAC can reduce endometriosis. So I just gave a try for a month. And then because doctor advised me not to, he asked me you can take it, but not for a long time because it is a sulfate, which is not good in your body. So I stopped it. But other than that, the regular supplements are vitamin C, vitamin D, omega-3. These 3 are like the regular ones.
So, ma'am, tell us more about your achievement. I read that before, and I'm just being very abrupt here. Before you got married, you were in the modeling also on a personal level.
Yeah, during my before my I would say during my college days and before in fact after my marriage also. So I've done some modeling, and I used to walk ramps and for the fashion shows and do modeling and also designer shoots and all for their attires and all. And I also was a part of glamour and beauty pageants. And after my marriage, actually before my marriage, I wanted to try for Femina Miss India, but I got to marry soon. I would say not soon, but yeah. So I got to marry. I had a choice that I had to marry soon. And after marriage, I went and again gave a shot for Mrs. India. And I was a Mrs. India winner in 2017.
That's a lot.
And I also represented India at global platform. So I represented India at Mrs. Globe in 2018.
Okay. So that's a lot of achievement on a personal stand also, not just the lead part and not just the career path.
Yeah, I mean, it has always been my passion. So from my profession is an IT professional. So I work in software, but my passion was always into modeling. So I continued it even after marriage. And yeah, again, I would say I'm blessed to have a supporting in-laws that they have supported me even during Mrs. India period. Not Not everyone would do that. Not at all.
Absolutely.
It takes.
Absolutely. Well, from Subhag Health Tech side, we wish you the best. And I know for certain that you're going to do something more than just your job. You're going to enlighten people. You're going to talk about issues. You're also going to get into stuff that you are personally interested in. So we wish you and your family the best, and we give our blessings to the baby.
Thank you so much for this interview. And I wish through this interview, most of them are enlightened and get to know more about what is infertility is and what endometriosis is and what all you can face through your journey. It's a tough journey, but it will be worth it at the end.
So as a parting shot, I mean, I got a gold statement from you, which is infertility is not a choice. I'm going to quote it everywhere I go. Now, beyond the one-liner, is there any advice that you want to share with struggling parents trying to conceive?
Yes, I would the best advice I would give to anyone is be for the couple especially, stand for each other, be there for each other. That's all it takes. You conceive, you don't conceive, you have kids, you don't have kids, you go through surrogacy, you adopt kids, anything, let it be anything. The journey is yours. It's together. It's your journey together. So just be there for each other, which will resolve half of the issues, because mental strength is more stronger than your physical strength. If you're strong mentally, definitely your body will support you. So just be there for each other, and I hope families support.
Well, amen to that.
And just one more line, don't give up. Try as much as you can.
Yes, you did mention that there's life beyond IVF.
Yes, there's life beyond IVF.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for having me.
All right, then. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we'll continue our conversation.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.